Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmitandjena Tasmai Shri Gurave Shri Guru Gauragandharva Govinda Gringanaisa Vande Prashadatoyusham Sarvaramba Shubhankaram. So we're very happy to be starting our day with Sri Sri Prapanna-jivanamritam. It must be a good day if we are hearing such topics. There's one verse which Srila Gurudev liked, Yada Chuta Katalapa Karna Piyusha Varjita Tadinam Dordinam Manye Megachanam Nadordinam. That a cloudy day is not a bad day. You know, a rainy day is not a bad day. But the day when we don't hear any harikatha, we don't hear any topics of the Lord, of the plane of absolute reality, that is a bad day. So then the inverse is also true, that day when we hear something, that is a good day. Maybe it's maybe terrible in every other sense, but you've had some contact. Because harikatha, it is non-different from the Lord Himself. The Lord is present in talk of Him. There's a very sweet expression of Srila Sridhar Maharaj, where he's talking about the first time he read Sharanagati of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and it was just, he said it was like a few paisa, like a few pennies, like very, very cheap, and you know, for this very small price he got this, you know, wonderful book, and how he felt it touched his heart so much, and he said, you know, this is, you know, talk of the Lord, this is non-different from the Lord Himself. So we're very fortunate to be contacting, not plain through hearing these divine subject matters. Okay, so yesterday we had some very nice discussion on these two very important verses, both in Shikshashtakam. First verse is Shikshashtakam, and the third verse. And it's significant, Param Guru Maharaj has selected these as the very first two verses which he's presenting in this chapter. So we can understand from this, you know, the most like general overall thing which is most beneficial for us is Hari Kirtan. Nam Sankirtan. In terms of what is favorable and acceptance of the favorable, this is the most general, you know, helpful thing for us, most favorable thing for us. And then the second verse, you know, how can you do that Hari Kirtan? You want to do Hari Kirtan, but how will you do it? Then the second verse is telling us that. And now some more specifics here. The broad plan has been chalked out, but now all the details. Nitty-gritty. So, okay, and the next verse. And this is from Prapanna-jivanamritam. This is another very important text from Srila Rupa Goswami. Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he describes it as Mahaprabhu's message, actually, in the language of Rupa Goswami, this Prapanna-jivanamritam. Is Mahaprabhu's giving these teachings through Rupa Goswami, in the language of Rupa Goswami. And that is another very valuable text for us to study. This, you know, in Prapanna-jivanamritam, so much is included here. You know, perhaps all of the Shikshashtakam, or most of the verses of Shikshashtakam, and most of the verses, if not all the verses of Prapanna-jivanamritam also. It's just also short, it's like 11 verses, Prapanna-jivanamritam. Okay, so now this is, which number? This is maybe the 6th verse of Prapanna-jivanamritam, something like that. 5th or 6th. Okay. Karshnanam adhikara nirupa sevaiva bhajananukula. To render service to the devotees according to their respective qualifications is conducive to pure devotion. I'm just thinking, should we open the door? Or if anybody comes, will they know we're in here?
I've left all our shoes.
Oh, okay.
So
they'll figure it out. Right.
I'm listening if
Okay.
anyone comes.
Okay.
And even if they have to go in the house and see we're not there, I think they'll work it out.
They can peek in here
Yeah,
as well. Yeah. Karshnanam adhikara nirupa sevaiva bhajananukula. To render service to the devotees according to their respective qualifications is conducive to pure devotion. And then this verse of Srila Rupa Goswami from Upadeshamrita. Krishneti yasya girita manasa jiyeta dikshashti chet pranati bischa bhajantam isham shushushaya bhajana vigyam ananyam anya nindadi shanya hridam ipsita sangha labdya. Shushushaya. A nice word. And so for these verses, which Srila Saraswati Thakur has written like an elaboration on, Srila Sridhar Maharaj uses that instead of a straight translation. For some of these like Sanskrit verses, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur has written an expanded Bengali translation. And so in those cases, Srila Sridhar Maharaj has used that. Instead of giving a direct translation of the verse, then he's using this expanded. You can see on the next page, and which I think is very beautiful, and it's a nice, very nice example of Guru Anugatya, following Guru. He's trying to stick closely to the way his Guru Maharaj has presented things, and he's honoring that. So now this is the Bengali. Expanded Bengali translation. Krishna Saha Krishna Nam Abhina Janiya Aprakrite Matra Sadhana Maniya Jainam Loy Name Dikshita Hoya Adar Karibe Mane Swagoshti Janiya Namera Bhajane Je Krishna Seva Kore Aprakrita Bhaje Basi Sarvada Antare Madhyam Vaishnav Jani Dadatar Pai Anugatya Korotar Maneyar Kai Namera Bhajane Je Sarup Lobya Anyavastu Nahi Deke Krishna Te Agiya Krishnetar Sambandha Napaya Jagate Sarvajane Samabudi Kore Krishna Vate Tadrisha Bhajan Vigye Janiya Abhishta Kai Manovakya Seva Hoya Nivishta Shushusha Koribe Tare Sarvato Bhavite Namera Charandam Hoita Hoite. So this is this point here is significant, that it's not that we will say everything is one and everyone is one and we will treat everyone in exactly the same way. That won't be good for ourselves, and it also won't be good for others. So in a broad, general way, we will honor everybody. But how that honor will be expressed, to what degree it will be expressed, and how that is to be adjusted according to the qualification of each person. Because we want the gist of it all is that we want to make progress, and so this is why this whole idea of like serving man is serving God, right? This is a very popular idea, that by serving, and this is actually like a difficult point, it requires a more refined understanding to appreciate this. Because many people, they can appreciate this idea of service, serving humankind, right? Serving humanity. Many people can appreciate that. But to appreciate there being some gradation, that requires a more refined understanding. The general principle of service, of giving, that is something anyone and everyone can appreciate. But in a more refined way, to understand some gradation, and some distinction in how service is offered, that is more difficult, for the general persons to grasp. So, we want to offer service to the plane of reality proper. Our service energy should be directed to that plane. That's in consonance with the actual flow of things, and that is what will actually be beneficial for ourselves. If we want to progress to a higher plane of consciousness, then we need to receive the grace of persons who are situated on that higher plane of consciousness, and we can attract that grace by offering ourselves in seva, in service. So, there's one comment of Param Gumarsh where he goes so far as to say, like, just very bluntly, I will not go to serve men on my own level. I will not go to serve men on my own level. But what is descending from above, what is coming from above, that is where I want to offer my mood of service. Otherwise, I'm living in my mental world, and you're living in your mental world, and I have all my whims and desires, and you have all your whims and desires, and I'm serving you in your mental world, and I'm serving you with all your whims and desires, and we're just remaining on that level. We're gonna remain there lifetime after lifetime. So, of course, in a general sense, we want to please the Vaishnavas in whatever level they're at. We want we want everyone to be satisfied, but we will have some particularly adjusted vision of that. Like for example, in within a community, we will, everything will be connected with Guru and Gauranga. So we will offer service to the general practitioners, but with the idea that they're connected to my Guru, and I want to keep them happy and peaceful and satisfied. And I want them to for example, if you're organizing a program, we want to continue in a united way. We want them to be I want their company, and it will also be good for them if they're inspired to join the Sangha. So we will try to make very nice arrangements for them. But it is all in the relativity of our connection with Guru. That they're trying to serve Guru, I'm trying to serve Guru, and so and in service to Guru, I am offering service to these persons. I can say for myself, there have been, this is something that I've because if more influence, responsibility comes to you, then it's very easy to go down another track, to become deviated, to begin to operate in an independent spirit. So like for example in Navadvip, when I had a lot of responsibility there, and and so the many of the devotees, then they're looking to you like, yo, you're taking care of us so nicely, you're our benefactor, and they have this indebtedness to you, and so it would be very easy for me to slip into this mentality of I have this position of power or influence, and these people are dependent on me, and we have our independent transaction going on, and they want to give me things as an expression of gratitude. And it's very easy to begin your own independent operation, actually. But so it was important for me to maintain that consciousness. I'm here to serve my guru, and these people are coming here to serve my guru, and so I'm supporting them in their service. But I not that this is become. I don't want this to become my own thing. I'm like a middleman here. Because otherwise, so easy to become corrupted. And Srila Sridhar Maharshi told one story of one sannyasi who he was like a very senior person in the mission. He'd been serving like 20, 30 years or something like that. And how at the end of his days, Srila Saraswati Thakur made a very strong comment to him, saying that, you could not see me. In all your years of service, you could not see me. That your concern is with me exclusively, but instead you've become like a broker. Because he had some particular area he was in charge of, and he had a group of grihastas who were under him. But it became like his thing, and they were all like under him, and he was he was like their master, like that, and it was like the exchange was between them, and Prabhupada Saraswati Thakur was like out of the equation. So he he left that consciousness of being in the relativity of Guru. So Saraswati Thakur made this very strong comment to him, you could not see me, and your concern is with me, but instead you've become like a broker. You have this relationship with these grihastas, these families, and they're giving you something, and you're receiving all of that, and sometimes you're giving me a token, but actually you should be completely focused on your guru. So the main point I'm making here is what we're receiving, we want to offer it up, that mood of our mood of dedication, it must be offered to the higher plane in order for us to make real progress. So there must be some distinction of different qualifications of devotees. So this is what's being pointed out here. We should have some discrimination and know the appropriate way to relate with devotees, with practitioners, and according to the level that they are at. Okay, so here's the translation, the English translation, this Bengali verse of the translation, the Sanskrit verse. A little confusing. Knowing Krishna and his name to be identical truth, one embraces exclusively the holy name's path. And thus who is initiated into chanting the name properly should be mentally respected as a member of the family. So someone who's very new, who's a beginner, then we will honor them. We won't show them so much formal respect, but we will, mentally, we will honor them as being a member of this family. They have embraced this ideal. Because, that if we show too much extreme respect to someone who's very new, that won't be good for them, actually. It will be confusing for them. It won't be helpful for them. They're very much in, a beginner or a student. That will just be confusing for them. It won't be helpful for them. And he who serves Krishna by constant worship of the name, within his heart ever residing at Sri Vrindavan Dham, know him as an intermediate devotee, make obeisance at his feet, and keep him as a faithful friend in your thought and deed. So this person, this is describing Madhyam Adhikar Vaishnava, middle class Vaishnava. We will show them more formal respect, and we will also exchange with them more and on a conscious level. Their perspective, their vision, their understanding, may be considered something valuable, that we can discuss with them, consult with them in a deeper way. And then the Uttamadikar, the highest class Vaishnava, is described here. And who, by internal service to the name, knows his divine identity, sees Krishna, only Krishna, in every form and entity, seeing nothing separate from Krishna in the entire creation. He sees all souls equally serving Krishna's predilection. Knows such a veteran votary, most honored and most cherished. Serve him in thought, word, and deed, with heart's fulfillment relished. With obeisance, inquiry, service, him in all respects entreat. By the grace of such a great soul, we can reach Lord Krishna's feet. So, this Vaishnava, highest class Vaishnava, who's fully situated in Krishna consciousness, seeing Krishna in everything, seeing Krishna's connection in everything, that type of Vaishnava, we will give ourselves to wholeheartedly, offer ourselves at their disposal. And I like very much the way that, and we can also mention the one way in which this Uttamadikar Vaishnava is described in Rupa Goswami's verse here. Nindadi Shunya Hridam, that in their heart they have zero tendency to find fault in others. That is one qualification of the highest class of Vaishnava. They are only seeking goodness. They find no pleasure. This is the thing. We actually find pleasure sometimes in finding people's faults. This horrible thing. In Bhaktivinoda Thakur's song, that Amara Jivan Sada Papera Tanahi Ko Punyalesh Purere Udvega Diya Chi Jeko to Diya Chi Jivane Kles Nija Sukalagi no. How does it go? Amara Jivan Sada Papera Tanahi Ko Punyalesh Purere Udvega Diya Chi Jeko to Diya Chi Jivane Kles Nija Sukalagi Pape Nahi Dori Doya Hina Swata Paro Pada suke duki, sada metya basi. Pada duka sukha ko. This is the line I'm looking for. That the happiness of others makes me sad. And the sadness of others, it makes me happy. There's actually a word for this in German, Schadenfreude. It means to find pleasure. You know that word. Find pleasure in the sorrow. This is part of our human condition. That this is one quality of the Para Vaishnava. They are, on one side, they are Para Dukkha Dukhi. Means their only sorrow is the sorrow of others. They don't have their own sorrow. The only thing that makes them sorrowful is the sorrow of others, the suffering, the sadness of others. And they have no tendency to find fault in others. And I have some notes here, because this subject matter, it's discussed in different places. The qualities, the nature of different levels of Vaishnavas, and how they will be recognized. And there's some famous verses in Bhagavatam which are outlining, these three classes of Vaishnava. And we were mentioning a little the other day, but one point I'd like to make here, because this is something very practical that we can try to follow ourselves, and that is how the Madhyam Adhikar Vaishnava is described in Srimad Bhagavatam, the middle class Vaishnava, and how they relate with the environment, that Prema Maitri Kripopeksha, that these four ways in which they reciprocate. or they like position themselves in relation to the environment, that they have prem for the Lord, they have love for the Lord, maitri, they have friendship for the devotees, for others on the path, they have friendship for them. And kripa, they are merciful to the ignorant, for people who don't know any better, for people who are maybe persons who have a lesser realization than ourselves, like that. We will be merciful. We will try to help them, and we will be indifferent. Peksha. We will be indifferent to those who are inimical, to those who are anti. We will just detach ourselves from such persons. Which is instructive because, in our enthusiasm, sometimes we may think we have to save everybody, and we have to chase after, like Nityananda Prabhu, chasing after Jagai and Madai. That's not for us, The higher level Vaishnava, they have the power to do that. But for ourselves, we can become converted, by them. we may go to the bar or whatever to try to convert those people, and then we may be converted. So it is, our own faith may be disturbed, and we don't have the capacity to convince them. So we're just encouraging them to make more offense, and we're disturbing our own faith. So this, this description of the middle class Vaishnava, it's something that we can try to follow as a model, model of how we will relate, with the environment. And then often we don't know what somebody's position is. We don't know who is who, what is what. Then these principles of humility, tolerance, and respect, those will save us every time, And it may be best for us, if we're really not sure about someone, keep a little distance from them, but maintain, this mood of honor and respect for them. And if we are sure that, this person really has something valuable, something genuine, then we will, reveal our heart more to them, keep them as a closer friend. Srila Gurudev commented once, give your respect to everybody, but who you give your heart to, be very careful. Be very careful about that.
Good advice.
Yeah. And as you were saying last night, it may take some time, if we don't want to jump into as I've done many times. Thinking, this is the person. And then you go, oh no. Okay. Then we can go on to the next verse. This is also from Prapanna-jivanamritam. Utsahadi guna anukulatvad adaraniya. Because of their favorability, the 6 qualities beginning with enthusiasm should be honored. So this is the 3rd verse of Prapanna-jivanamritam. Maybe it's the 2nd. I always get it mixed up. It's a very, very nice verse. Utsahan nishchaya darya tat tat karma pravartanat sangotyagat satovrite shadbir bhakti prashidyati. And again, as I was mentioning yesterday, the advices in this chapter, acceptance of the favor, they're very practical. These are all like very practical things, that we can see how we can apply in our lives, here and now. So these are 6 qualities which we can try to cultivate within ourselves, in our practice. utsahan nishchaya darya tat tat karma pravartanat sangotya gat satoverte shadbir bhakti prasidyati. And so again here, Srila Sridhar Maharaj has, instead of giving a direct translation of the Sanskrit verse, he's selected this Bengali expanded verse by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Bhajane utsahajar bitade bahire sudurlabha Krishna bhakti pabe dire dire Krishna bhakti pratijar vishwas nishchoy Shadavan bhakti man janse hoy Krishna sevana paya Dirabhave je bhaktir sadan kore bhakti man se Chahate Krishna seva Krishna santosh Se karme vati sadhana karo yerosh Krishna bhakta jan sangha pari hari bhakti man Bhakta sange sadabhaje hari Krishna bhakta jaha kore tadanu sarane Bhakti man acharai jivane marane He choy jan hoy bhakti adhikari Vishver mangal kore bhakti parachari. Within, without, he who serves with enthusiasm, number one, this is utsaha, will gradually attain to the rarest pure devotion. In devotion to Lord Krishna, one who has firm faith is a person loyal and devoted on the path. And if Shri Krishna's service he fails to attain, yet practices with patience, devout is such a man. That which serves Krishna for only Krishna's pleasure, in such action the devotee can never feel anger. Abandoning the company of the non-devotee, ever with devotees, the devout serve Shri Hari. Following the pure devotee's direction on the path, the true devout practice as a matter of life and death. Who follow these 6 qualities qualify for pure devotion. They purify the universe by their preaching mission. So, very, very nice, very helpful for us. And these are all points which have been discussed very extensively by our Guru Varga. I'll maybe just, according to what I've understood, just some general overview of these points. This point about enthusiasm, this is, there's one, different ways this can be understood. But, having like one way we can understand it is the desire to serve, like having some eagerness to serve. There's one expression of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur where he says, enthusiasm is the life of faith. In other words, this isn't just an armchair thing. We're sitting on our couch and yes, it's so nice, and I believe in this, but that we actually want to act upon that, in an active way. We want to express that. That is real faith. That is deeper faith. There was one occasion, Srila Gurudev told this story. There was one disciple, I can't remember his name, but one disciple of Srila Saraswati Thakur, Srila Saraswati Thakur was giving some talk, and I think they were seated on this outside veranda area, and so there was it's kind of outside, but there's a roof, right? And it started to rain, and from where he was sitting, Prabhupada Saraswati Thakur, he could see that so there was some deity paraphernalia that had been left out, Like we saw in Navadvip, there were a few designated areas where some of the local village ladies, they would come and they'd clean. It was like a bit of a process, like a lot of different bits and pieces, plates and bowls and cups, and cleaning very thoroughly. So there was some set of paraphernalia which had been left out, and it was starting to rain, and Prabhupada observed this, and he made some expression like, "Oh, nobody has brought this paraphernalia in; it's just sitting there," and this one devotee, whose name I can't remember, he immediately leapt up, like in the rain, and he went out and he picked it up and he put it away, and Saraswati Thakur was very pleased, and he said, "This is utsaha, this is enthusiasm, this is an example of utsaha." So we can understand it in that way, this eagerness to serve and to express our faith in a practical way, in the expression of service mood. And also, we can appreciate this from this point of enthusiasm, some spirit of optimism. That we because we have that we won't ever become pessimistic about our condition, our human condition, as we've been discussing yesterday, the human condition. We won't allow ourselves to become pessimistic about that. If we do, that just demonstrates a lack of faith, in what this is and who we're connected with. We ourselves may be in a very low position, but we must appreciate we have a connection with something so high, and our Guru has such power. On our own it's impossible. On our own we are this and we are that, so on and so forth. But now we have a connection with Guru and Gauranga. And by their grace, we will overcome all of these things. So some spirit of optimism must be there. There's one place where Srila Sridhar Maharshi, he says that this is actually a theistic tendency, optimism, hope. That if one has faith in God and divinity and some higher power even, in the most general sense, then they must be hopeful, because it's not just about me and my capacity. I'm a tiny finite being, but I have a connection with the infinite. So anything's possible. And on the other hand, to be pessimistic, that is an atheistic tendency. It shows a lack of faith in the presence of the Lord and the Lord's power, Guru's power. So some healthy, optimistic, hopeful attitude, we should try to cultivate that. Sometimes we have to snap ourselves out of it. We indulge in our pessimism, or at least myself. There's a type of self-indulgence.
It's interesting, that thing, you can think something in a rational sense, but then embody something else. Like you say, that's atheism embodied.
Yeah.
But yet an atheistic person, by what they profess, could actually embody real enthusiasm for, life, I guess.
Yeah, that's true. But what is it based on? Oh, I'm enthusiastic because I have a lot of money, or I'm very healthy, or whatever. That we won't consider that type of enthusiasm or optimism to be so valuable, because it's based on identification with this temporary world.
Yeah.
It's sad for me, like all this affirmation stuff, like it's mostly directed towards very materialistic things, this is what you constitute to be success, that you're going to be wealthy, that you're going to be successful in the worldly sense. It's like very cheap. It cheapens everything. Try to understand what is actually meaningful, what's actually valuable. So that's like a kind of misplaced optimism. It should be in connection with something, of substantial, value. And then the next here, Darya, so Nishchaya. So Utsaha, enthusiasm, this Nishchoy is referring to confidence, conviction. And here it's put as firm faith. And this is all, this spirit of optimism is also, related to this. We will have, firm faith, firm conviction on the path. And also one way, as I recall, and I don't remember whose commentary, but one way this can be understood is having, in a general sense, having some confidence in what this process is, faith in what our gurus are giving, so on and so forth. But also one way it can be understood is having some faith that is strengthened by an understanding of the conception. There's one expression in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Siddhanta Bolyanachite Ulas, Sudrida Krishna, I can't remember, but saying, Srila Kaviraj Goswami saying, don't be lazy to understand the Siddhanta, to understand these teachings, because doing so will strengthen your faith. It will make your faith stronger. It will consolidate your faith. Having some good solid understanding of what are the teachings, that will strengthen our faith. And will be, if our sambandha gyan, to start with, our understanding of our own nature and our own position, if that is strong, then that really helps us so much in dealing with all the things that come up within us, understanding, what is this mind, what is this body, what is this intellect, and what is the nature of soul. Then different things are coming up within us, and we can recognize, this is coming from the mental plane, this is coming from the senses, and so on and so forth. Then I don't need to identify with all these things, or this difficult situation is coming to me, and am I to think that God has abandoned me, that God doesn't care about me? Or no, let me adjust this with proper spiritual vision. This is actually God's grace upon me coming to help me in some way. So having some understanding of all these things, that will make our faith stronger. So we should not neglect that, it's not that we want to go overboard with all of that, and the intellectual understanding of things, but in a natural and a healthy way, to go along with our hearing, in a regular way. That is something we should try to do. And then Darya, this is referring to patience, to also like a spirit of perseverance, of determination. Like we're going the long haul. I'm ready for the long haul here. And because, we have to be ready. It's not like we were discussing yesterday with Kevala Bhakti. This is not only going to be like one lifetime, it can be hundreds of lifetimes, So we have to be ready to face anything. Whatever difficulty, whatever challenges come our way. There's one place where someone is asking Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he's like sharing, what he's been going through, and he says, sometimes very long periods go by when we don't feel Krishna is in our lives. We feel some darkness. We don't feel his presence. We don't feel he's coming to touch us. And this is also touched on the way Srila Saraswati Thakur expresses it is like along those lines. If Shri Krishna's service he fails to attain, yet practices with patience. So not feeling that touch, that inspiration. And so he mentioned this to Srila Sridhar Maharaj. He expressed, then Srila Sridhar Maharaj responded with this point from this verse. He very, there are so many ways that could have been answered, but Srila Sridhar Maharaj chose to answer just very simply. He said, yes, patience, and he quoted from this verse, patience. And this is a test of faith, as it's being indicated here. It's a test of faith that even if we're not, getting that buzz, getting that high, and seeing those Hollywood lights and seeing all the magic and the fairies and the unicorns, then we're still persevering. We don't need to have that, emotional buzz, We don't need daddy patting us on the head all the time. We're mature enough to be able to continue, even without that, Because we see many persons, they come and they have this like emotional excitement, but then when the going gets tough, then some more challenges come up, or people aren't as friendly to them as they would have liked, then when it gets down to it, like the serious practice, serious sadhana, then they're just not up for that, because their faith is not strong enough for that. So to be able to persevere, with patience, with determination, despite whatever challenges will come up. And then the next tat karma pravartanat, and that is referring to all of the practices, the devotional practices which have been prescribed for us, to make that part of our lives. All the various things, the shravan and the kirtan and the practical services, all of these things, our daily sadhana, all of these things to continue, with that in a regular and a steady way. And then sango tyagat, to give up bad association. And this is very important point, and it's actually mentioned twice in Upadeshamrita, both in a positive sense and in a negative sense. It's mentioned here as a favorable quality to give up bad association, and then in the list of 6 unfavorable qualities to keep bad association, that is listed. So to give up bad association is a positive quality, and to keep bad association is a negative quality. So it's given that emphasis in Upadeshamrita. Very important. And also there's a famous expression of Mahaprabhu in Chaitanya Charitamrita, where somebody asks him, what is the characteristic of a Vaishnava? And Mahaprabhu just answers with this, Asat Sangha Tyag, a Vaishnava Char. To give up Asat Sangha, to give up bad association, inauspicious, non-truthful association. This is the primary characteristic of a Vaishnava. This is very important, because we can be receiving so much, but if we're still, like that example is given of the anchor, right? We're still holding on to some bad association, some negative association, we won't actually be able to receive all this wealth that's being given, because we're already full, It's like if you go out and eat, a bunch of junk food and, processed pizza and chips and so on and so forth. Then if you come back home and your friends have this wonderful, wholesome, organic, biodynamic, meal for you, freshly, picked from the garden, and then you're full. You can, maybe politely you'll take something, but you're not appreciating the taste, actually. You're not appreciating the value there because you're already full of some crap. You're full of some junk, like people experience this like sensitivity they develop, right? Like their taste buds become more sensitive to flavor and, to more subtle flavors and so on, energy. So that's the thing, if we're still like stuffing ourselves with junk, then we can't appreciate, these wonderful things that are being given to us. And also like this wealth, it's so powerful that if we are simply open to it, it will take us up. It wants to take us, and our soul wants to go there. It's what I mean is it's something so natural, and it has such power that it can just take us up. It's just that we have to be like receptive to that. So it's very important, this point. There's one comment of Srila Sridhar Maharaj where he says, if we can just do that, if we can just give up all forms of bad association, then we're practically there. We're almost there. Because that higher, substance, it has its own power. It has its own, attraction. Has its own influence. And it will take us. It's just that we have to allow ourselves to be taken. That's all. It's not like we have to climb a mountain. Or, we just have to allow them to lift us up. But we're holding on. We're staking ourselves down. We just have to allow it to lift us up. So this is actually what the 10th offense to the holy name is. It's the one that we scratch our heads over and what? This doesn't make sense. The 10th offense to the holy name, to maintain material attachment, which seems very puzzling. But the way that Srila Sridhar Maharaj and Srila Gurudev have explained this 10th offense, is it means to have this attitude of resistance, to be in a position of resistance. That the holy name is coming and has its own agenda, has its own power, and wants to bring you in this higher direction. And you're holding your ground and resisting that, and maintaining your attachment to all of these, finite relative things. That's actually what the offense is. So we have to allow ourselves to be taken, allow this devastation to take place, allow all this breaking of our knots of attachment, allow that all to happen, and just and move with that flow. Because we're like what? This doesn't make sense. I need this. I need this little shed covering over here. I want to give you the sky. The sky is your shelter, but I need this tiny little shed over here to take shelter of. So to allow ourselves to move with that in the direction that the holy name wants to take us, we must try to do that. Have that openness about us, not be too rigid and fixed in our idea of how we should be practicing, what our life should be like, but how we want to be used and to be taken. And it's all going to be beautiful. Because we're afraid, actually. We're just afraid. We have fear. That's our problem. We're very fearful beings. We have a very tiny, finite, pinhole vision. There's this huge spectrum of wonder going on, this wonderful dance of reality going on. But we're afraid, because we think we need this tiny little thing over here. We cannot conceive if we let go of this tiny little thing. Everything's going to be okay. And there's going to be this whole infinite thing waiting for you. So asat sangatyag, sango tyaga, to give up bad association. And then the sixth, satoverte, to follow the direction, to follow the pure devotees. They'll give up bad association and to take that positive association. To follow in the footsteps, to take the association of, follow the direction of the pure devotees. And this expression is very nice. The true devout practice as a matter of life and death. Very nice. You know, actually we'll begin to feel like that if we're like diving deep, if we're awake, we'll begin to feel the crucial necessity of this. There's that expression in the Upanishads of saying that spiritual life is like a razor's edge. Once we become more like awake and in tune, we'll begin to feel like that, you know. It is such a crucial thing. Okay, well, that's the rate. It's about 10. Okay, well, maybe it's a good place to stop for today. Okay, very nice. Yeah. Nice things coming up. Is that good? We'll stop there.
Yeah, there's plenty there.
To chew on there, to digest. Jai Shri Shri Prapanna-jivanamritam ki Jai Shri Bhakti Rakshak Shri Dev Goswami ki Jai Shri Bhakti Seminar Govinda Dev Goswami ki Jai, all the beautiful devotees ki Jai, Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki Jai, Nitai Gorpe.
Shakadevi Dasi ki Jai.